On the news, President Tinubu suspends National Social Investment Program. Supreme Court passes judgment on 8 gubernatorial appeals. And EFCC vows to revisit Matawali's 70 billion naira fraud case. It's a pleasure to have you join us on News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolie. In a landmark series of rulings, the Supreme Court brings closure to dispute over the March 2023 governorship elections in 8 states. Noteworthy outcomes include the reinstatement of ousted governors in Kano and Plateau states, and affirmation of victories in Lagos, Bauchi, Zamfara, Abia, and Ebonyi states. The decision underscores the Apex Court final authority in settling electoral dispute. Our correspondent Folashade Olusegun gives a detailed breakdown of the judgment.
In a decisive move to settle the long-standing disputes stemming the March 2023 governorship elections, the Supreme Court today delivered its verdict in 8 states, bringing clarity to the contested outcome that has traversed the legal hierarchy. Notably, Kano and Plateau states captured attention as the Apex Court reinstated the ousted governors, affirming Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf in Kano and Governor Caleb Mufang in Plateau states. The 5-member panel, led by Justice Inyang Okoro, declared that both the tribunal and the appeal court has held in their decisions to remove the governors. Challenges to Yusuf's victory in Kano by All Progressives Congress candidates Alhaji Nasiru Yusuf Gawuna and Mufang's victory in Plateau State by Nitawe Yawanda, also of the APC, were dismissed by the Supreme Court. In Lagos State, the court rejected the appeals filed by People's Democratic Party and Labour Party against the election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his deputy, Obafemi Amsat. Justice Mohammed Garba and Adamu Jaro asserted that both appeals lacked merit.
It's not an APC victory. It's not a Babajide Sanwo-Olu victory. It's a Lagos call in action for all of us to work for the citizens, to improve the lot of Lagosians, and to make meaningful development for our people. At the end of the day, people want, to see good roads. People want to see security everywhere in the state. People want to see hospitals and schools being built. That's what people want, and that's what we preach, and that's what we're going to do.
Similarly, the Supreme Court upheld this election of Bala Mohammed in Bauchi State, dismissing an appeal by the APC and its candidate Sadiq Abubakar, challenging the outcome of the 2023 governorship election. The Apex Court set aside November 16 judgment of the Court of Appeal voiding the election of Governor Dauda Lawan in Zamfara State. Justice Emmanuel Agin ruled that the trial tribunal correctly affirmed Lawan's elections, deeming the Court of Appeal's decision as lacking evidential foundation. Furthermore, the Supreme Court affirmed Alex Oti as the duly elected governor of Abia State, dismissing the appeal by Sandy Honor, a candidate of People's Democratic Party, against Basi Oto's election. In a unanimous judgment, the court upheld Governor Francis Nwuforo's election in Ebonyi State, dismissing the appeal of Chukwuma Odil Ifeanyi of the People's Democratic Party for lacking merits. With these rulings, the Supreme Court brings closure to the protracted legal battles and reaffirms the outcomes of key governorship elections across the country. Folashade Olusegun, TV 360, Abuja.
Still on electoral dispute, Benue State Governor Reverend Father Ayensid Aliyah has dedicated his victory at the Supreme Court to the people of the state, saying the Apex Court pronouncement is affirmed the people's wish of a government that will put them first. Speaking with journalists at the State House Abuja, the governor urges everyone to work with his government to develop Benue State. Aliyah, who contested on the platform of the All Progressive Congress, secured victory in the governorship election with 473,933 votes, defeating Titus Uba of the People's Democratic Party, who scored 223,913 votes.
It is a victory, not just for me as a person, but for the great people of Benue State. Victory is sweet, but it places more burdens on your output, both the input and the output. That is the expectation, and the expectations being that Um, Even the court is reaffirmed, the mandate the people gave me, and I'm quite happy on that. Again, it simply implies that we have to get out there and do some more, let them feel the impact of what they are inspecting. When they give you the mandate, it is an inspection. Then what you put out there for them, becomes their expectation, and I know it's very tall, very, very tall. And we've already started a number of projects. We commissioned 16 roads. Quite a number are done with out of the 16. As I'm speaking here now, the remaining work is still on them. We're hoping that in the next month or two, all the 16 roads shall have been completed.
To discuss further on the Supreme Court's verdict on Kano State, which reversed the sack of Governor Abba Yusuf, I am now being joined by Ladipo Johnson, the National Auditor for NNPP. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Johnson. Now, as a member of the NNPP, how was your party taking the verdict of the Supreme Court?
Thank you. Good evening. Well, we are quite pleased and relieved that the Supreme Court, in its matured way of approaching legal issues, has brought settlement to the matter. It's been 6 months, a roller coaster 6 months since the election, and going through the tribunal, then the Court of Appeal. And we maintained all along these two major points. One, that the 165,000 votes that were removed by the tribunal was improper. And two, that the issue of membership of the party that was taken up at the Court of Appeal was wrong, null and void, because the Supreme Court had in previous decisions said that these matters are pre-election matters. So we maintained that all along, and we thank God that that process has come to an end. And we are relieved that at least it gives us the opportunity, that Abba Kabir Yusuf and his team, the opportunity to get on with governance and bring good governance to the people of Kano State.
All right.
We thank God for that.
All right. Then, as a lawyer, did you at any point think the verdict will go against your candidate, looking at the previous pronouncement by the tribunal and the appeal court?
No. As a legal practitioner, I looked at the decisions of the court, the apex court, the Supreme Court. Even if you look at the body language of the judges when the matter came up at the Supreme Court for argument, adoption of briefs, it was clear, because the presiding judge asked those very questions. He asked who was responsible, or who was responsible for stamping and signing ballots on the reverse end. And it was obvious the legal representative of the APC had to acknowledge that it was INEC. So that left it hanging that, well, it wasn't Abba Kabir Yusuf, neither was it the NNPP, nor the voter who was responsible for that. You cannot punish the voter for a mistake or for what has been left undone by INEC, the umpire. So these things were, unfortunately, well, I don't want to say they're simple things, but unfortunately, we had to go through this long, arduous journey. But be that as it may, it's settled now, and we hope that our legal jurisprudence will lead to a better or a development of the Electoral Act before we face the next set of elections.
All
Hopefully,
right.
well, not the short-term ones of Ondo and Edo states, but at least before we face 2027. We hope that
Ladipo
there will be
Johnson,
improvements.
National Auditor for NNPP, thank you for speaking with us. Now moving on, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has suspended all administered programs by the National Social Investment Program Agency, the federal government said. Announcing the suspension in a statement on Friday, the Director Information Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Segun Imoesen, said the President's decision was in view of the ongoing investigation of alleged malfeasance in the management of the agency and its programs. According to the statement, President Tinubu also constituted a ministerial panel to conduct a thorough interview of the agency's operations to recommend necessary reforms of the NSIPA. President Tinubu also assured stakeholders and all Nigerians that his administration remains committed to a swift and unbiased process that will ensure that going forward, social intervention programs will work exactly as intended to the benefit of the most vulnerable Nigerians. Governors of the All Progressives Congress (APC), organized under the umbrella of the Progressives Governors Forum, went to visit President Tinubu at the Presidential Villa on Friday. The meeting, which took place in the council chambers of the State House in Abuja, boasted the attendance of over 15 APC governors. Governor Uzodinma of Imo State, who serves as the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, led the governors to the meeting. Speaking with the press, the chairman expressed the purpose of the meeting, saying the governors were there to extend New Year's salutations to the President, congratulate him on his achievements in assuming office, and renew their commitment to his renewed hope agenda.
Among other things, thank him for the way he has supported the governors of all the subnational governments since his inception, and how he has sustained funding to governors, particularly in some interventions that are outside the statutory allocations. And the President is happy with that, and also encourage him as a result of the insecurity in the country, acknowledge his efforts, commend him for doing so well, and also encourage him to continue so that insecurity will become a thing of the past in the country, and also do more interventions to alleviate the current situation in the country, occasioned by some of the policies that are meant to bring reforms. We are happy, and we have acknowledged that his economic policies are working despite the initial challenges, and with time we shall overcome those challenges when we begin to reap the real dividends of all these reforms. And the governors are happy. We will be committed to supporting our president as his ambassadors at the subnational level, and also committed to marketing his policies to the grassroots, being the head of the subnational governments.
The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, has expressed his commitment to revisiting the probe of the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawali, over alleged money laundering amounting to 17 billion naira during his tenure as Zamfara State Governor. The announcement was made in Abuja on Friday through EFCC's Acting Director of Public Affairs, Wilson Uwujaren. This revelation comes in the wake of a protest held by the Zamfara Alternative Forum at the EFCC's headquarters in Jabi, Abuja, urging the Commission to reopen the investigation. During the protest, Mahmoud Abubakar, the spokesperson for Zamfara Alternative Forum, emphasized the importance of resuming the investigation into the 70 billion naira fraud uncovered by the EFCC during Matawali's tenure.
The Zamfara Alternative Forum is urging the EFCC to continue investigating the alleged mismanagement of public funds by Bello Muhammad Matawalle during his tenure as the governor of Zamfara State. The Zamfara Alternative Forum urged the EFCC to investigate the matter and bring those responsible for mismanagement of public funds to justice. This will serve as a deterrent to others considering engaging in corruption practices in public offices, especially in addition to what happened to the humanitarian minister. The Zamfara Alternative Forum, as a pressure group, commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Tinubu, for taking bold step decision against corruption.
Be rest assured that this case will be revisited because EFCC believes that nobody should be above the law. If you have done something wrong and our investigation is able to establish that you have a case, we will progress and proceed with the matter. So you can go home and rest, assured that the Commission will do something about this matter.
Now back to the story on the Supreme Court passing a verdict on 8 governorship appeals. I am now being joined by Justice Ojaino, a legal practitioner, to share his thought on the judgment. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Ojaino. Now, we have seen that in the case of Plateau and Kano, the Supreme Court ruled that APC does not have the local standard to challenge the validity of the nominations of the governors. Now, does this put the issue to rest?
We pray so. It's unfortunate that I have to say we pray so, because the Supreme Court has actually put it to rest even before the Court of Appeal decided on this matter, especially on the Plateau part. The Supreme Court has said it clearly that that was the situation, but unfortunately, the Supreme Court is having to redo it again, and in redoing it again, the Supreme Court has to take time to chastise the Court of Appeal, the lower court, in that instance, that it's unfortunate that they have to make judicial power or resources be expended again on this issue that we ordinarily would have ought to have called a dead horse that is not worth flogging at all.
All right, now that the governor of Plateau has been returned by the court, what happens to the lawmakers who lost on the same premise but couldn't prove it beyond the Supreme Court?
It is very, 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 very unfortunate. I weep terribly for them. And of course, they are victims of the injustice or the indiscretion of the appellate judges that decided on the matter. And it is also doubly unfortunate because the Constitution doesn't allow them, for good reasons, an extra bite at the apple as the Constitution allows for the governor. Because if the governor's case too had ended at the Court of Appeals level, he too would have suffered that same level of injustice. It is unfortunate that their injustice is one that cannot be remedied. And the major reason why it cannot be remedied is because, like the Supreme Court has also repeated and emphasized that electoral matters are sui generis. They are in the class of their own. Ordinarily, if it were other kinds of matters, we would have urged the Supreme Court to enlarge time to be able to maybe get the Court of Appeal to revisit the matter, or the Supreme Court should invite it upstairs. So the same token by which the Supreme Court does not have jurisdiction to determine an appeal beyond what has already been decided by the Court of Appeal when it comes to the matters of appellate legislative matters on appeal. That is also the same token by which the Supreme Court cannot enlarge the time within which the matters could be revisited.
Legal practitioner Justice Ojaino, thank you for lending in your thoughts. Now, in an heartbreaking incident, a female employee of Global's Bank in Lagos, identified as Amarachi, has reportedly taken her own life. The tragic incident occurred in Ikorodu, where the young woman was found lifeless after consuming a toxic substance. In a suicide note left behind, the deceased attributed a drastic decision to the worsening economic conditions in the country. The late banker, who acknowledged that nothing seemed to be working in her life, apologized to her family and friends for her choice, saying that in the face of relentless struggles, she opted to bring an end to her pain. We'll take a break here, but still to come, Super Eagles set to take Equatorial Guinea ahead of Sunday's match. Details of the story right after this break.
Hello. Alahaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Uh, hello? Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I'll just call you. Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
Well, you just lied to someone that we're in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you are raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption, not in my country.
Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories. In a landmark series of rulings, the Supreme Court has brought closure to disputes over the March 2023 governorship elections in 8 states. At the end of the court session, noteworthy outcomes include the reinstatement of ousted governor in Kano and Plateau states and affirmation of victories in Lagos, Bauchi, Zamfara, Abia and Ebonyi states. We also told you that President Buhari Tinubu has suspended all administered programs by the National Social Investment Program Agency. Announcing the suspension in a statement on Friday, the Director of Information Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Segun Imoisen, said the President's decision was in view of the ongoing investigation of alleged malfeasance in the management of the agency and its programs. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. It's now time for business news. Okpeyemi Owosheni as the latest. Over to you, Okpe.
Thank you, Tamilore. Hello and welcome to Business News. In the world of business, the International Labour Organization, ILO, in its recent report titled World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2024, has projected that 2 million workers may face job losses in the current year. This forecast also suggested a rise in the global unemployment rate from 5.1% in 2023 to 5.2% in 2024, as it attributes the challenges to decline in disposable incomes in most G20 countries and a reduction in living standards due to inflation. The report emphasized that although the global unemployment rate improved modestly to 5.1% in 2023 from 5.3% in 2022, working poverty was likely to persist. We'll take a short break. I'll be back with Stock Market Report. Trading activities in the Nigerian equities market closed on a positive note on the last week day of trading, closing at 0.54% and leaving the all-share index at 82,597 basis points and the market capitalization at 45.45 trillion naira. The market breadth also ended on a positive note as 49 stocks advanced and 19 stocks declined. Now, Sunu Assurance Nigerian PLC led the gainers, changing with 0.13% as it moved from 1.30% recorded in the previous day of trading to 1.43%, followed closely by Mutual Benefit at 0.77. Now, at the end of the last week day of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, a total of 600 million volumes of shares were exchanged in 11,697 deals, corresponding to a market value of 9 billion naira. Now, compared to the previous NGX trading day, today's data shows 32% decline in volume, 37% decline in turnover, and 23% 3% decline in dues. Now, a shift to our select global stocks. It's a positive day for UK FTSE and Japan's Nikkei as it recorded a bullish trade, ending at 0.69% and 1.50%, leaving just the US Dow Jones in a bearish trade at 0.50%. Now, and that's all on both business and stock market reports. Back to you, Tamilore, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Okweyemi. Now, on the global scene in the Middle East, the United States and Britain have conducted airstrikes from both air and sea against Houthi military targets in Yemen overnight. This action was in response to the Houthis' movement attack on ships in the Red Sea, marking a regional expansion of the conflict between Israel and Gaza. The Houthis, an armed movement that has gained control over much of Yemen in the past decades, have been actively targeting ships at the Red Sea's mouth since October. U.S. President Joe Biden issued a statement emphasizing that these targeted strikes convey a clear message that the United States and its partners will not tolerate attacks on personnel or threats to the freedom of navigation. Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON, starts on Saturday, 13th of January, and the Super Eagles are preparing for their curtain raiser against the Nspa National of Equatorial Guinea on Sunday at the Al Hassan Guitara Stadium, Ebimpe, Cote d'Ivoire. After an agonizing 2-0 loss on the Silver Stars of Guinea in a pre-tournament friendly in Abu Dhabi, Osepocero and his team need a strong start to set the tone for the tournament. Any setback could damage the team's morale and cast a shadow over their title aspirations. Our correspondent Sydney Okafor has more details.
While Nigerians await a favorable outcome in the Super Eagles' first game of the tournament, the build-up to the fiesta has not been exciting as expected because the team has been plagued by injuries worries that has dampened the morale of the football fans who are hoping to see the former champions conquer Africa again. Although Coach Josep Pesaro does not show it, losing 3 of your key players like Wilfred Ndidi in the midfield and Victor Boniface and Sadiq Umar in the attack could weaken the Bravers. Aside Hassan Yusuf, who has joined the team, replacing Wilfred Ndidi, the replacements for Victor Boniface and Umar Sadiq, who are Terry Murphy and Paul Onuachu, are still being awaited in the team's camp. There is a cheering news about Leicester City Kelechi Iheanacho, who will be joining the team on Sunday after recuperating from a muscle injury. Sydney Okafor, TV360, Lagos.
And that wraps up our news bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. See you next time.